Hi guys, I'm Linda.
I'm Vicky.
I'm Margie.
I'm Keith.
And we are Partners in Crime. Today we got a lot going on. At this point, Barry Morphew has been taken into custody. And what were the charges brought against him, guys?
First-degree murder, trying to influence a public official, and tampering with evidence.
Yeah. And of course, we don't know what all those really mean at this point because the arrest warrant or the arrest papers haven't been, they're sealed. So
that's right, they're sealed. And of course, they have not found Suzanne's body yet.
Nope.
I noted they received 1,400 tips.
Okay.
Wow, how did they even follow up?
Yeah.
1,400 tips. That's like
with the Sheriff's Office and CBI, the Colorado Bureau of Investigation. So I did see that we might actually be able to see the arrest warrant as early as May 13th this week. Lauren Scharf, a reporter up there, did tweet that out, that we might see those papers as early as the 13th. So that'll give us a lot more insight into what happened.
Yeah, we can only speculate at this point. And we were talking about it before we started taping. But, you know, tampering with evidence, maybe it has to do with the bike. You know, maybe because, you know, whether the bike was planted there or because, you know, the initial problem was when she was missing that she went on a bike ride. Nobody saw her on that bike.
Yeah.
But yet they found the bike. And the bike apparently was not damaged. Not
to the point. I don't believe it was. The way it would have tumbled down the hill, you would have seen a lot more damage. Yeah. And even the brush that it tumbled down the hill, that wasn't disturbed like it would have been if an adult woman was tumbling down the hill off of a bike. You know what I mean? So a public defender is actually representing Barry, so he doesn't have a big time lawyer. We have a public defender doing that.
Not yet.
It is a no bond hold too, so he can't post bond just because of the charges. May 27th is the court date for the filing of the charges, so that would be the first court date.
Right,
to file the charges.
They're gonna look into his resources to see if he can afford an attorney.
At that point,
the only reason he has a public defender right now is because, you know, they did this so quickly. They arrested him, and then the next day was the hearing, the advisor hearing.
Okay.
So he didn't have time to find an attorney, so they appointed.
Well, you would think all this time he should have been thinking of someone that, you know, even if he isn't guilty, at least everybody's looking at you. Maybe think about having someone on your side.
Yeah, probably. But, you know, that was their process,
right?
To do that for him. And
and he sold the house, right?
Yes, that house has been sold, and the house in Indiana that they owned as well.
Right.
There was a protection order, which is standard, I hear. He can't retaliate against witnesses, but his daughters are not included in that, so he can talk to his daughters. And what else? Barry's nephew, Trevor Noel, who has posted a lot about the case. Well, not about the case, but just trying to look for Suzanne. They had a fundraiser on Facebook that Barry asked him to set up, and that was actually disabled. The donations that were listed there presently was $33,552. It's a lot of money for, what were they going to use it for, or did they use any of it? We just don't know.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
This is for his defense?
No,
No.
to find Suzanne.
Oh,
This
they were
was
raising money just to find her?
Yeah,
Correct.
that was before.
So that's another layer to this story. Let's say it all works out and Barry actually is convicted. Why would he set up a site like that just to make it look good? Like he is looking for his wife? I don't know. Why would you do that?
Yeah.
It's a lot of money to raise. Yeah, so those were the things. Do you guys have something else? I want to read, there was a request for expanded media coverage too, so I wanted to read that for everyone after we talk about some of the other things that you guys have.
Well, I was just wondering, because I did watch this Nancy Grace piece, and they were saying that when a woman is murdered, most of the time you look to the husband, and that's true. And I saw that 64%, this is a 2007 report, female homicides are either from an ex or their partner or their current partner. So 64%. So it's most women that are murdered get murdered by their partner or
Someone they thought.
So I mean, that's why I guess this was an earlier piece in there. She was just wondering why he was not a suspect
Earlier? He may
wasn't.
have been.
Yeah, we
He
just
wasn't
didn't
at
know.
first.
They were tight-lipped about this whole thing.
We don't know when he became a suspect.
They haven't released
Okay.
information about him, and just things that the media grabbed onto, but not necessarily what the police have against him.
The other piece I got is only 16% are from strangers.
Oh,
That's not a lot.
Wow.
No.
That's just like child abductions.
Yeah.
It's most over, I don't even have the percentages, but most of the time it is someone that the child knows.
Right.
And it is very rare that a stranger takes a child.
Well, even the cases that we've been reviewing,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of husbands involved in, the disappearance or the murders of their spouses. It's just been, most of the cases that we've reviewed where that is the scenario, that's what has happened. So,
And he just didn't act, not that anybody acts a certain way when this stuff happens. Obviously, everyone is different. But for the people that have been out in the media, the biggest cases that we've seen, a lot of the same things have happened, and people have looked at their the way they talk, their body language and everything else, and he fits in line with like the Scott Petersons and Chris Watts, and so yes, he is presumed innocent.
not as far as I'm concerned.
Well, at this moment,
the way he's
you're not a
acted
very
this whole
good
time.
juror.
So,
there's not enough evidence. There ain't enough evidence. You haven't seen enough evidence.
We have not.
We
You're
have
biased.
not, no, but the things that we do know, he lied about. Like he said, the day that she went, Mother's Day,
Right.
or the day before, I don't have
He
the
was in some
exact.
kind of training that
That
never
didn't
existed.
exist.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So he lied about that.
Right.
yeah.
There's a lot of fishy stuff going on about the hotel.
What
that
about the, he had a girlfriend or something?
That's
Yeah, that never
No.
panned out. Nobody's ever
no.
found that.
Although lately it's been rumored that he's been seen with some redhead,
Okay.
and we don't know who that is. It could be a friend of Suzanne's, trying to find out information, or
Yeah.
But they're how the rumor mill starts.
Yeah.
So that's what
Right.
they're.
Once that
Trying
people
to
are lying, I think it definitely just starts creating even more suspicion.
Well, I thought that
Right.
there was some woman's house or something got
Yes.
investigated or
They don't. Yeah, we don't know who that is or
Oh.
why. But there's apparently been a lot
some
of
kind of
police
hunting
activity.
club, or some kind of mistress, part of a hunting club or something he was in.
We don't know. We
Okay.
haven't.
I've heard
Yeah.
that.
I haven't seen that, but yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of theories online and.
Speaking of body language, one of the things that convinced me was when he made his video
Facebook.
interview. It wasn't even an interview. It was his own video that he made, on behalf of looking for his wife or saying, where is she?
Mm-hmm.
He kept shaking his head no the whole time he was talking. I miss you, Suzanne. I really want you to come back. We love you. It was like...
Has there been body language experts, I guess, break this down on YouTube?
Yes,
Stuff?
yes, there
Okay.
are. The behavioral panel, which I really like a lot, those 4 guys are awesome, and they have looked at that video. They did a brief synopsis of what they thought. They do say sometimes people do shake their head, and it doesn't mean that they're saying no, or that they're lying when they're doing that. It all depends on their baseline. They always talk about a baseline, and some people just might always be that way. But they did do that, so if I remember, I'll link their video.
And you didn't take like a polygraph test or anything?
I
Not
don't
that we know of.
Nobody
I
knows.
think he
So.
reviewed,
No.
or he said he did, but I don't know if that's true.
I also heard a thing that there was another woman abducted in that area. Was that just another bad rumor?
I think I remember hearing that, but it was not exactly there.
Right.
And I don't know the outcome of that or what the situation is around that. That was a while ago.
Right. So when this happened initially, we'll just go over what we have learned so far. Suzanne went missing on Mother's Day. Her girls were trying to call her to say Happy Mother's Day. They couldn't get in touch with her, so they called their father. He asked a neighbor to go over to check to see if her car was there. The car was there, and he said, oh, well, maybe she went on a bike ride. So she looked, and I guess the bike wasn't there. Then the police found a bike down a little ravine, and it was very odd that that bike wasn't damaged. So Barry's putting out these theories that somebody abducted her from the path that she would have rode on. Although they say that that part of that road, nobody rides on it because there's so many cars and they're going so fast. She would have probably never would have taken that route.
Yeah.
Well, it depends on the kind of bike rider she is.
Right. I don't think she was an avid bike rider. I think she was just,
Her brother, Andy.
recreational, yeah.
Her brother, Andy, said she never got on her bike in her life.
Okay. So
Really?
maybe it was
That's
a new
what her
thing.
brother said.
Maybe it was a new thing in Colorado. They moved out there. There's a lot of nature.
Yeah.
You know, she might have done that, but apparently that route that she would have taken wouldn't have been a good idea for a woman to be riding a bike. Then they noticed that, then Barry put out, well, that she was, first she was abducted, that didn't pan out, and then some animal attacked her. There was no blood, no stitches of clothing, no fabric, nothing.
Right.
So if that would have happened, you probably would have seen something there. So these were the theories that he was putting out there, and they just didn't pan out, and that was just what he was going with the whole time. And it's almost a year. When was it? May 12th. So it's just about this week. It'll be a year that she, or May 10th.
May 10th.
That she went missing. So
I guess there's no.
we haven't heard
people
anything
were
since.
asked. The neighbors were asked. I guess a lot of people have their own surveillance cameras and stuff, right?
Yes.
Because they're living out in the middle of nowhere,
Yeah,
and
there was nothing that they.
But they
had
asked,
seen
the
on.
police asked for everybody
Yes.
to keep that, because a lot of times it records over, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but I guess nothing leaked.
Who knows? We don't
Right.
know. But also his surveillance cameras were turned off.
Yeah.
Oh,
In the
his
house.
were off?
Yeah,
So
in their
weird.
house. Cameras were turned off that day. Then he
I
said,
After watching that staircase show, I'm just like, I don't know, man.
It
Yeah.
can go either way sometimes. You're like,
Yeah.
You gotta have enough
could not.
evidence.
Yeah.
You can't just say people are.
Well, since I'm
got
not
no
on,
body.
since I'm not on the
You
jury.
got no motive. You don't really have motive right
well,
now.
that's something that they have to look, and I have said
Yeah.
this from the beginning. I have a feeling it has something to do with the foundation that they had. Suzanne was a cancer survivor, and they had a foundation set up in her name. Doesn't really specify what it was for specifically, And I don't know. That's my
Well, no
theory.
wonder
I
there
think
was
it
a
has something to
speculation
do with that.
about the money because they moved into that house, $1.5 million house, and their other house wasn't even sold yet.
Right, in
That
Indiana.
house was listed for like $900,000.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there's a couple $1 million floating around.
Right.
That, I mean, you're a landscaper. I mean, I guess if you
Well,
have a
he
big
had a
landscape company.
he had a pretty big company. I don't think it was, just a like
Well,
our
if you got money
landscapers
problems or
and
you're in like debt, that can. I
Correct.
mean, that's part of the thing that people.
yes.
I don't know what's the leading motives of homicides.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Money.
sure money's one of them.
Money,
They've got to be
definitely.
in the top few,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Right.
they say follow the money.
And
Yeah.
just like
But I,
divorces and
theory.
stuff, money is sometimes a big issue,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
yeah, you know.
That's the other thing I wanted to ask you guys because it says 1 in 4 women have experienced some type of physical violence or physical something from a spouse or
That's a lot.
Partner.
1 in
Partner.
4. partner, yeah.
25% of women.
So it's that's what
This
it
is
is.
physical
God.
violence.
1 in 4 women experience one physical experience from their partner in their lifetime.
Yeah,
So you're
That's
three
a
of you
lot.
guys here.
yeah.
That's a lot of women.
I have. My friend actually that was over last night, she was in an abusive marriage, but she also had an autistic child, and she was in Florida and her whole family was up here.
Mm-hmm.
And so she had to behind the scenes just take out money when she was at the grocery store, gradually plan her escape. And she's had 2 or 3 of people that have dated him somehow find her, reach out to her, and her help them escape him.
Oh my
She was saying
God.
just recently, a couple months ago, the mom of a girl that he's now engaged to reached out. It's I'm really concerned, she's distanced herself from us.
Oh no.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a red
Well,
flag.
they were talking about that, moving from Indiana all the way to Colorado all of a sudden.
She didn't want to, is what her brother has said, that she
Yeah.
didn't really want to, so.
Okay.
Well, that's a control thing too.
Yes.
They move you away from your family.
Yep.
Isolate.
You isolate. You have nobody. Then they start monitoring and controlling your phone calls and
Yeah.
text messages. And then if they figure out that you're communicating with people,
Mm-hmm.
that's probably
I mean, but I imagine
Yeah.
it's somewhat. I mean, it's a hard thing for people to talk about, to admit whether you are the perpetrator or the victim. People can lose control and hit people and whatnot.
Well,
right?
yeah, and they said he had a volatile temper.
Oh, okay.
It's one of the
His
people,
workers.
workers
Yeah.
said he was just really explosive.
And other people he's worked with,
So-
other companies that he's had to deal with. And there was just a
And
lot
that's the
going
thing where
on
you
with the
could kill
company
somebody by
too.
accident. You get mad, take
Yes.
the thing, throw it out. Oh man!
Or push them and they hit their
Yeah.
Now I gotta.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now I gotta cover it up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
Not that it was maybe planned out, but I don't know
I don't know.
how many homicides are planned out, or are they just fits of rage, or. I didn't
And so
look
he
at
was
that
he
part.
must have been working at that time. So it's for him to ask the neighbor to go.
Yes,
check.
well, this was the whole theory. Why did he go to this other place near Boulder, I believe, to do work?
No, it
First
was
of all, it
Denver.
was Mother's Day.
Denver.
Okay, Denver. It was Mother's Day, so why is he leaving his wife? And I did this in another video. He could not have gotten the permits to do work that Sunday. Yet he said he had work out there.
Well, I heard
and there
that
was
he
no
called
way
up
he could have.
contractors he didn't even know.
Yeah, it's true.
And then there was one of the guys, I guess they got hotel rooms or something.
Right, right.
And then I guess for some reason Barry got a shower in the other guy's room, and then there was something about smelling like chlorine.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We've
they
talked
thought it
about
was-
we've talked about that
Okay.
before.
Smelled a lot like chlorine.
Yeah.
Which is what? That's how you dissolve a body or something?
No, no,
Blood
for
evidence.
blood evidence.
Blood evidence.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
to clean it up.
Yeah. So,
Oh.
but then there was, there were comments that, well, the place had a pool, but the pool was
Closed.
Closed.
So there wouldn't have
Oh
been
yeah, but
chlorine
how do you
smell
smell
from there.
chlorine in a room? But I guess
I
who
guess how
knows?
close the pool is to
Ventilation or
the,
something.
yeah.
Yeah.
So there was a lot about that, but the biggest thing was there was no reason he would have been
Yeah.
out of town. He
On-
couldn't
yeah,
have worked
Sunday.
that
It's
Sunday.
So crazy.
So a lot of the timeline, a lot of the things he did just didn't make sense,
Doesn't
and
add
that's
up.
what they're poking holes through, and that's why
Right.
people think that it was probably him.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Well, I thought that my understanding was that he was maybe setting up an alibi, saying so he could say, I was out there working.
Yeah,
well, that's the whole,
And have
And he
other
just
guys
rushed
confirm.
it, put it
Yeah.
together quickly,
right.
and did it with people he didn't know.
well,
That's
no,
not
he
like
had his
smart.
crew. He had people that he knew that he had go out there to do the work.
I heard he
They
called
did a
contractors he
crappy
didn't know.
job.
He might have called more, but there was one
Yeah.
guy that didn't normally
But
work
they didn't
for him.
actually do anything though.
Not a
No.
lot. They didn't have the equipment or the.
There was nothing
the-
there for
yeah.
them to work with.
Or the material.
Right.
It wasn't there. So they couldn't even do it. So, okay, you have to get out there. You have to do this job on Mother's Day weekend that you
Yeah.
can't even do because you don't have a permit.
Right.
They won't give you
And
a
then
permit
it's-
for
And
that.
now your wife's missing.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's
Definitely.
a lot.
Still reasonable doubt, I would just say.
Well, of
there's
course
reasonable
there is.
doubt.
There has to
At
be.
this point.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't know what all the evidence
And we
is,
don't
but-
know what
We
the
don't know
evidence.
that. And again, that, this district attorney, who I hear is pretty good, said, I wouldn't have brought the charges if I didn't feel confident
Right.
in what I have. That's all
Well,
she
what
would
else you,
give.
yeah.
Right. Well, but
don't
and
know
people have said, well, that's not good enough. You don't just have us trust you. You have to give us a reason to trust you. So at this point, we won't know. Maybe this week we'll know
Yeah.
what's going on with that. So as far as the media coverage, I know everyone's hoping that we'll be able to see this on, Court TV or whoever gets the contract for this. They did set a request for expanded media coverage that a judge had to rule on. And there were things that they needed to make sure the media coverage didn't hurt or
Compromise. with
yeah,
that.
there you go. Whether there is a reasonable likelihood that expanded media coverage would interfere with the rights of the parties to a fair trial, whether there is reasonable likelihood that expanded media coverage would unduly detract from the solemnity, decorum, and dignity of the court, and whether expanded media coverage would create adverse effects which would be greater than those caused by traditional media coverage. And the court ruled, having considered the above listed 3 factors, the court finds that expanded media coverage should be permitted with reasonable restrictions, consistent with Chapter 38, Rule 3 of the Colorado Court Rules. One thing to that, though, as far as his 2 daughters, if the Morphew children attend the hearing and speak at the hearing, the camera must be turned off, capped, or moved in a manner that will not allow images of the Morphew children to be recorded. So,
And the girls
There you
were,
go.
they were very
I mean,
supportive of their father at the
It just
advisory
seems to
hearing.
me like the first 3 things you read there, I mean, expanded media coverage, of course it's going to, it must influence things. I mean, how can you make, I just wonder how you make that determination. Because
well,
it
any
seems
media
like,
coverage, there's going to be media coverage regardless. It's
Right.
just if it's going to be cameras in the
In the
courtroom.
courtroom, yeah.
Because
Right.
every trial has media coverage,
Yeah.
whether you have someone sketching it out and then coming out and talking to the media when they have breaks and that sort of thing, because that's generally what would happen. But now with Court TV and all that kind of thing, they can actually have the cameras in there
Yeah.
so everyone can see what's happening, which I think is awesome because you know what? They're doing this for the public. They're bringing charges against this person to protect the public and protect this person that was hurt. So we should all be able to, and this is what they did back in the day, right? They used to have, anyone could watch a trial go on if you could fit in the
Well, that's the
courtroom.
other thing they said. Both sides of the family, her family, Mormon.
Mormon.
I don't think there's an R in that, but
No, it is
Is
Mormon. Yeah.
her family and of course the Morphew family.
the Mormons again. Huh?
Yeah.
I don't think
Mormon.
I don't know.
It's spelled
The poor
differently.
Mormons, they're always getting it.
It's MOORMAN. Yeah.
But
Always getting
they're going to have priority seating at the hearing.
Which is on. Yeah. Which. You
So, which is going to be limiting the public's access
Okay.
to the courtroom.
And I really want to know who the public official was that he tried to.
Yeah, I do too.
That is very intriguing to me. Who did he try to influence?
I can't even imagine. Unless it was maybe something undercover.
What? Yeah, that's
You know?
something else. And there's evidence.
Yeah.
We see that there's evidence and he tampered with it.
I mean-
so that's another thing.
Yeah. After watching these Innocence Files, though, I definitely, I can see people jumping to conclusions, and then you can also see how people do things that may look suspicious, but ultimately it's not like evidence that to convict someone of murder. Like people do things, and
there's
there's
also-
one thing with a girl the guy was with said he's the guy that did it. He didn't do it. He absolutely right. And but people do and say things that are just. So I don't know. It's
Well, and then you have like the OJ trial. We all saw it. It was all in front of us, and yet he got off. So you know what I mean. There's lots of
Or my favorite one with Casey
Anthony. That's another one. Yeah.
she got. I couldn't believe that she got off.
Yeah.
That's why I think with the Daybell case, they're holding so much stuff back.
Mhm.
Because
Yeah.
it's just.
Yeah.
well, it's hard to prosecute a.
That's why
Right.
I think that's why it's taking so long with these prosecutors.
And you
They
can see-
want to make sure they have all their ducks in a row and they have all the evidence they need because the public is watching, and this is happening more in front of the public view more in this age than it ever has in the past. And there have been some high profile cases that have gone the wrong way. So they want to make sure, especially if they're going to be put out there.
Well,
and you got all the YouTube detectives
yeah.
Like us.
solving crimes
It's-
out there trying to solve crimes.
And they don't have a body, so that makes it even harder for them to try this case. And it's all circumstantial evidence.
Yeah.
It all is. So they have to, make sure they have their ducks in a row if they're
Yeah.
going to bring that
Yeah.
forward.
Yeah.
And with children, I think that it's very difficult for them, any children in any case, to believe that their parent committed this
Could do
crime.
that. Yeah.
Especially if the parents actually kept a lot of their. If they didn't fight in front of them, if they really kept everything away from the kids, they
Yeah.
didn't know any different. And the
No.
girls weren't
Yeah.
home, they were away.
Yeah.
So
That was the other thing.
that's a hard thing too. If parents
he
keep
had
everything
They're
away
on a
from the
camping
kids.
trip.
He had
to
arranged
Idaho.
that.
Did he?
He had
Okay.
arranged the camping trip for
You sure
them.
about that?
Yeah.
She saw him write the check.
I heard him on the phone. No, but I
Damn
did.
YouTube detectives. It's hard to stump them. They're on it.
But yeah, about the kids. Well, they're not kids.
No,
They're
they're adults. Yeah.
they're
Young adults,
Young
so they're
adults.
still.
Still young and dumb.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like when they were at the hearing, they were sitting there like doing this to their father and mouthing "I love you," and we'll see what happens as time goes on.
Yeah.
Right. I do have to say, Barry looks like a lot. An
He looks
older
bad.
man.
He looks bad, doesn't he?
He looks very.
He aged fast.
He aged
Yeah.
fast. He lost a lot of weight. So I don't know.
Yeah, he
I
doesn't.
think that's probably
He's worried.
yeah.
Well, remember that happened to the guy in the staircase. They couldn't believe like how much he aged when he was in prison.
Well, he hasn't been in prison yet, though.
Yeah.
He's been out,
Yeah.
out and
No,
about,
Barry's
selling
just talking about
houses.
this other
Sorry.
case.
doing whatever. So
Yeah.
he hasn't been exposed to jail
All the
yet,
hardcore
or
stuff, yeah.
and he still looks kind of like he aged a lot.
Yeah.
So
And initially, he said he gave 30 hours of testimony to the police. Whether that included a lie detector test, I don't know.
yeah, I don't know.
But, that's why they have Miranda rights.
Yeah.
Because you have to be careful what you say when you're, whatever they say can be used against them.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, and he gave 30 hours of testimony. So
Okay.
he claims, and
Yeah.
that's why he was saying, I'm innocent. I gave him 30 hours of testimony
Right.
in the beginning.
Now, we
Yeah.
heard that from him or from other people that
From
he actually
him.
did it. So,
From him.
yeah, we don't know what actually happened. So, is there anything else we want to dive into as far as Barry's concerned?
No, we don't really know much more.
Much more, and
than
more
what-
will come out this week.
Yeah.
So, we'll try to follow up with
And when
with
did
that.
this, he was arrested on Thursday, I believe? Was it Thursday?
Friday. I think
No.
after midnight on Friday is when,
No, yesterday, no.
no, it was Friday, Thursday into Friday is when they brought the charges.
Okay.
They announced,
Okay.
or they took him into custody that next morning. So I
Okay.
think that all of the paperwork and everything was done after midnight on Thursday into Friday.
Which is another reason why they did appointed the public defender.
Mm-hmm.
And again, if he has money, they're not gonna let him stay with a public defender.
Yeah.
They're gonna make him hire somebody.
And you think if
They can
obviously
make
they have
you
enough
do that?
evidence.
Well, yeah, well, so the state is paying for the
Yeah.
public defender.
Yeah, for a felony, you have to have someone that's going to be able to represent you.
Oh, yeah, but I'm
Yeah.
saying that, I know that you can have a public defender, but, if they can find out, oh, you got a lot of money, then we're not gonna give you one? Is that how it works?
Yeah, you have to use your resources before they will pay for it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, plus it has to be that this person has to have experience too. Just like in the Vallow case, they have to have experience to try someone or to defend someone that has a felony against them. So I don't think you could just have some public defender that just goes in and gets someone that was in jail because they were drunk or
Because in that
something.
staircase thing, that guy spent $1 million defending himself.
Yeah.
$1 million. He ended
Yeah,
up
which isn't
losing
hard to do.
everything.
Well,
Yeah.
and he had it, so that's why
Yeah.
they made him
Yeah, and
use
he
it.
couldn't even afford to go to another trial. You know, or
Yeah. All right, so we'll try to bring you updates as we hear them. And yeah, so big stuff going on in this case, and we're going to dive into another big story soon. So until next time,
bye.
bye.